Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC comic review, and this time I am reviewing issue 114 of Batman. And I must admit, it's been an interesting journey. I'm looking forward to when we get the changeover between Tinian to Joshua Williamson on Batman. But now it's time to move into the rating for Batman issue 114. So with Batman issue 114, let's jump into the cover rating first and foremost. Now I'm talking about the main one, does this cover in any way, shape or form, which is on the left hand side, connect to anything that happens inside the story? Sure enough, it does. And for that, I actually gave the cover a 7.5 out of 10. Now, even though the variant cover isn't in any way connected to the main story, I too also gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Which means I enjoyed both of these covers, and I think they worked with the story, especially the main one. So good job for the artist on it. Now, moving to the next thing, the internal art for reviewing. I want to point out that I will not be covering the backstory, and I do recommend that you might enjoy the backstory more than the actual main story. Sometimes that does happen. And it's on Clown Hunter. So, time to move into the internal arts, which I'll show you some art around the beginning, middle and the end, but I'll be using the variant cover to show this. Now, starting with some art around the beginning, I must admit I really like the art in this, and this is taking place in Gotham City in a little place called Eden. And as you can see here, we've got Miracle Molly as well as Poison Ivy, or Ivy. And this is some of the art around the beginning. I'll now jump to the middle. And of course, as we move to the middle of the story, we have Peacekeeper 01 versus Peacekeeper X. Someone's a little bit jealous because his job was taken away from him. And last but not least, time to move towards the end. Alright, and this is some of the art towards the end. As you can see here, we've got a bit of action happening. Some scenes without any dialogue, which is really nice, as well as some scenes with a little bit of dialogue. So for the art in this story, I gave this a 7 out of 10. Moving into the story rating, as you personally know, there are things that I enjoy seeing in my storytelling. Number 1, were there any comic references? Disappointingly, there weren't. What about any time references as to when things are taking place in this time period? Disappointedly, no. Locations, even though it felt like that there was more than one location in this, only one was pointed out in Gotham, and that was Eden. But jumping into the cast of characters, in relation to the story, we end up getting Miracle Molly meeting up with Poison Ivy, and sure enough, we also get something happening to which Simon Saint is starting to see some things happen in his view, which which links to Peacekeeper X, as well as Peacekeeper 01, and it's almost as if he's starting to see what he had seen start to collapse on him within the story, and that's the best way I can sort of bring it across. And it's almost as if Scarecrow prepared himself to sort of like stab Simon Saint in the back. Of course, we have Batman making it up to the scene. He tries to bring that message across, that what he's sort of like bringing to Gotham isn't actually the right thing to do. And then, of course, we have Scarecrow make an appearance towards the end. And it's sort of like left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, to which we catch up with Miracle Molly once again. For the story, I really should give it a 6.5 out of 10. But because of the art, and I think the art was probably the saving grace for the story, along with many of the scenes that sort of like helped bring across what was happening in the story. Because of that, it got a 7 out of 10. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.